ما فيها يعني شيء، يعني ريفيو فقط مثل ما قلت لكم ستيبس. واتمنى الجميع يا شباب انه يبدا يحاول يحل. طبعا بعطيكم يعني نقول ثلث ساعه بعدين ببدا احل معكم، لكن اتمنى ان الجميع يحاول انه يحل. اتفقنا يا شباب؟ طبعا اسوي لكم عرض للشاشه بس. فتح معكم الوورد يا شباب. واضح الشاشه يا شباب؟
نعم.
طيب هنا أسئلة يا شباب 9 أسئلة، طبعا مو 9، هي تقريبا 14 سؤال. 14 سؤال. أبغاكم يا شباب تبدون تحلون لي التسعة الأولى، يعني معكم تقريبا خلينا نقول نص ساعة. طبعا استخدموا البيانات، أنتم عارفين كيف تستخدمون البيانات، يعني البيانات الموجودة use the data بدي داتا، نفس ما تكلمنا الأسبوع الماضي، يعني كيف توجد البيانات هذه. طبعا استخدموا البيانات المطلوبة منكم، وبناء على البيانات المطلوب منكم. مثلا السؤال الأول يقول لك use the data and the data set what is the variance of the variable BMI. هو يبغى توجد الفاريانس للبي ام اي. السؤال الثاني يقول لك اوجد المين. السؤال الثالث يقول لك اوجد ستاندرد ديفيشن. السؤال الرابع يقول لك اوجد الميديان. طبعا هذا انتم عارفين كيف نوجدها. بعدين قال لكم تحت السؤال الخامس تشيك ذا نورماليتي، التوزيع طبيعي ولا مش طبيعي. بعدين السؤال السادس تكلم عن determine sample size. طبعا اعطاكم الليفل اوف significance واعطاكم المارجن اوف ايرور. طبعا انتم كيف تحددون برسنتج ولا مين؟ بناء على السؤال. هنا لو تلاحظون كتب هنا more than 6%. اوكي، يعني يتكلم عن البروبوشن. بعدين هنا يتكلم عن determine sample size. طبعا بما ان اعطانا البوبوليشن ستاندرد ديفيشن معناته يتكلم عن المين. بعدين اعطانا research wants to test the proportion. تكلم عن البروبوشن. اعطانا number of success of sample size is different from 0.05 and the sample size equal to 444 and the number of success equal to 122. Do we reject the non hypothesis or not؟ يعني انتم راح تسوون you will conduct the hypothesis test for one sample proportion وراح تعطون الديسيجن how do we fail or we reject. اوكي، طبعا هو اعطانا do we fail يعني هل نرفض ولا نقبل. بعدين السؤال التاسع we want to compare different two populations. اوكي، عندنا two samples and sample 1 equal to 660 and x1 number of successes equal to 90 and into the sample size 2 equal to 500 with x2 the number of successes equal to 40 and the question says find the b value. طبعا تكتبون البي فاليو يا شباب القيمة نفس القيمة المعطاة في الاوتبوت. اوكي، تجنبا للخطأ، يعني القيمة اللي تطلع لكم في الاوتبوت نفسها تسوي لها كوبي بيست وتحط القيمة اللي طلعت لكم. اوكي يا شباب، معي يا شباب؟ يلا طبعا اتمنى الجميع يا شباب يعني يشارك. طبعا ما اشوف الشات يا شباب، اللي عنده سؤال يسأل يعني فويس. Is there any question guys؟ ها يا شباب معي ولا؟
واضح دكتور.
طيب
الشباب
اعطيكم يا شباب نص ساعة يا شباب وراح نبدأ نحل ال9 أسئلة مع بعض. يا شباب اللي يكتب في الشات أنا تكلمت أكثر من مرة، يعني ترى مش مطلع على الشات، لازم نسوي ستوب شيرنج عشان أطلع على الشات. اللي عنده استفسار يسأل فويس. هاي شباب كيف الشغل معكم؟ معي يا شباب؟ طبعا يا شباب هذا باقي الأسئلة، أنا بنبدأ نحل يعني. لا أشوف أتوقع أن أغلبية يعني مش ولا بد. طبعا هذه الأسئلة راح نبدأ نحل يعني ونشوف إيش يصير. طبعا مثل ما تكلمنا يا شباب الستاتديسك البيانات موجودة مسبقا، يعني عشان نحمل البيانات راح نحتاج إن نروح للديتا سيت. أوكي، بعد ما نضغط ديتا سيت تلقون قبل الأخير مكتوب باي ستاتستكس سكند اديشن. أوكي، طبعا راح تطلع لكم بيانات اللي انتم تحتاجونها مثل ما تكلم الدكتور نادر مسبقا. البيانات راح تكون موجوده هنا. طبعا احنا بنستخدم البادي ديتا. طبعا عشان نسوي الديسكريبتيف يا شباب، الديسكريبت مقصود فيه المين والميديان والستاندرد ديفيشن والفيريانس، كل الحاجات هذه موجوده في الاكسبلور او الديسكريبتيف ستاتستكس. عشان نوجدها يعني راح نروح على كلمه ديتا. اوكي، بعد ما راح نضغط على كلمه ديتا راح يجينا كلمه explore data or descriptive statistics. اوكي، بعد ما نضغط عليها راح يطلع لنا صفحه البيج هذه. بعد ما يطلع لنا الفيربلز، طبعا من خلال الفيرست يعني المربع هذا والمستطيل يطلع لنا المتغيرات الموجوده في البيانات. طبعا لو ضغطنا على البي ام اي اوكي وضغطنا ايفالويت راح يعطينا الاوتبوت. اوكي، عندنا هنا الاوتبوت. الاوتبوت هذا يسمى الديسكريبتيف يا شباب. طبعا يعطينا هيستوجرام، يعطينا البوكس بلوت، يعطينا النورماليتي، يعطينا السامبل سايز. السامبل سايز اللي هو الحجم العينه ال n equal to 300. طبعا المين للديتا equal to 28.91. طبعا مثل ما قلنا يا شباب راح تاخذون جميع الارقام اذا طلب منكم المين، يعني راح تسوون كوبي بيست للرقم كامل. اوكي، الميديان equal to 28. عندنا الفيريانس اوكي، وعندنا ستاندرد ديفيشن. هذه الحاجات المهمه. النورماليتي مثل ما انتم شايفين رايت سكويد، يعني البيانات is not normal distributed. عندنا في النورمال كوانتيتي عندنا some outliers يعني. طبعا هذا من الاكسبلور ديتا. مثل ما تكلمنا شباب اذا طلب منكم المين، الميديان، ستاندرد ديفيشن، الفيريانس، كل الحاجات هذه في اكسبلور ديتا. اوكي، بعدين انتقلنا يعني الى تحديد النورماليتي، هل البيانات توزيعها طبيعي ولا مش طبيعي. مثل ما قلنا عشان نحدد البيانات اذا ضغطنا على كلمه ديتا راح نحصل نورماليتي اسسمنت. اوكي، بعد ما نضغط عليه راح يطلع لنا which column you want the variables. اوكي، if we click on this مربع راح يجينا الفيربلز. Okay, if we consider we want to check BMI, the normality, okay, then we click evaluate. Okay, we will have the output. Okay, from the output we can see the histogram. Also, we can see the normal quantile. Okay, as you can see, we have some outliers here. Also, we can see from the histogram also the data is right skewed. Okay, also from the output you can read we have reject the normality when alpha equal to 0.05. Also we reject the normality when alpha equal to 0.01. In this case the data is not normally distributed. Okay, توزيع ليس طبيعي. هذا second خطوة، لازم نعرف how to find the descriptive statistics and how to check the normality. Okay, and from the output we can make the decision either based on the histogram or the square table. Okay, we have reject the normality when alpha equal to 0. We always will use when alpha equal to 0.05. Okay guys, the second important question, how to determine your sample size. Consider you have the margin of error and you have the alpha level. Okay, and alpha as we mentioned will be 0.05. and you want to determine your sample size. Okay, to determine your sample size, we will click on the analysis and we have the sample size determination. Okay, from the sample size determination, we have three options. Okay, estimate the proportions, estimate the mean, and estimate the standard deviation. But we didn't take the estimate standard deviation. We just took the estimated proportion and estimate the mean. If you click on the estimated proportion, it depends about the question. Okay, you will have the confidence interval or the confidence level, the level of significance. And as I said, the confidence it will be 0.95, the confidence level. Okay, 95%. And the margin of error, it will be changed as the questions change. It depends about the question. Sometimes it will be 0.03 or sometimes it will be 5. It depends. Okay. Consider we use 0.05, okay, or any values, and we click evaluate. If you click evaluate, you will find the required sample size. Okay. When we have the confidence level equal to 95%, okay, and the margin of error equal to 0.05, the required sample size, it will be equal to 385. Okay, consider we change that margin of error, okay, to 0.08, for example, and we click evaluate, and the required sample size, in this case, it will be equal to 151, okay? And if the estimate of population proportion known, we just click it, depends about the question, as I said. If it's not exist, you just will use what you have in the question. Okay. If you want to determine the required sum for the means, you will click on the analysis, sample size, estimate. Okay. You will have the confidence level, confidence interval, and the margin of error. Okay. And consider in this case, margin of error equal to 9, and the population standard deviation. If the population standard deviation is given in the example, you will use the determine sample size with the mean. Okay, consider we have the population standard deviation equal to 80, and all these values can be changed. Okay, if you click evaluate, the required sample size is equal to 304. Okay, 304. Okay, guys, this is how to determine your sample size. After that, we move to the hypothesis test. Okay, for the hypothesis test, we have more options. Okay, it depends about the question. If you have one sample, two samples, okay, dependent or independent samples. Okay, all these you have to be taken into consideration. Okay, to find the hypothesis test for one sample, okay, you look in the hypothesis test for the proportion one sample. Okay, and from the one sample, you will have the significance level, okay, 0.05, and we will use this value and the claim question. Okay, the claim proportion depends about the question. It could be changed, okay, but in this case, consider the claims equal to 0.5, okay, and the sample size is given, okay, in the question. And in this case, consider the sample size equal to 60, and the number of successes is equal to 50. Okay, if you click evaluate, and don't forget the alternative for the claims, okay, if the population proportion not equal to the claim proportion or greater or less than, it depends about the question. You have to read the question carefully. After that, you can click evaluate. Okay, after you click evaluate, you will have the z-test score. Okay, this is the test statistics. Consider the question says write the z-test. Okay, the z-test it will be equal to -3. Okay, and the b value, it will be equal to 0.001. In this case, we can make the decision, okay, by either test statistics z, compare it with the critical value z, or the b value, compare it with the level of significance alpha. Okay, and also we can see that from the output, the b value equal to 0.001, which means it's less than the level of significance. Okay, and the level of significance is equal to 0.05. In this case, the decision will be reject over to reject. هاي شباب معي.
واضح دكتور.
If the b value is less than the level of significance, should we reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis? شباب ما أشوف قلت لكم أكثر من yes, we reject each not. In this case, that means the population proportion is not equal to the claim proportion. Okay, هذا للone sample. Okay, consider we want to test the hypothesis for 2 samples. Okay, 2 samples. We will click on the hypothesis test. After that, we will use the proportion 2 samples. Okay, you will have the alternative hypothesis. That means your research question or the researcher question. Okay, and the significance level we will. And in this one, they will ask you about your sample size, 1, and the number of success. And don't forget the number of success. It will be the number of people they answer the question. Okay. In this case, we will leave it the sample 1 equal to 100 and the number of successes equal to 10. For sample 2, we have also the sample size equal to 100, but we can change it to 115. Okay. And the number of successes will be 15, and click evaluate. After you click evaluate, you will have the output. Okay. And from the output, we have z-test. Okay. And also you will have the p-value. Okay. Here we can write a lot of questions. Question 1 method, for example, write the z-test score. Okay, and in this case will be negative 0.6. And the other question, write the p-value, and the p-value equal to 0.4. Okay, the decision, what is the decision? Should we reject or reject? It's based on the output. Okay, we will compare the p-value with the relative significance, or we can compare the z-test with the critical value. Okay, both of them will give you the decision. And also you can see the plot. If you click on the plot, and let me just make this up. Okay, if you click the plot, you can see z-score, the z-test, and also you can see the critical values. The critical values, it will be between -2 almost and 1, and it will be between 1.96 and -1.96, and the z-score, it will be equal to -0.06. In this case, we can see the z-test will be lies between the critical value, and the decision will be we fail to reject H naught. After that, we just move to the hypothesis test when we have 1 sample. Okay. If you click on this one, we also can use the summary statistics. That means you will give the Statdisk the information you have, or also we can use the data. It depends about the question. Okay, but in this case, we will use the data. If you click on the use data, we will click in the BMI. Okay, we want to make the hypothesis test. Here's the significance and the claims. Okay, the claims is 100. Let's say equal to 60, and the alternative, the claims we can be greater than 60. Okay, the population mean greater than the claims mean. Okay, and the claims mean it will be equal to 60. If you click evaluate, you will have the output. We have the z-test, the t-test statistics. Also, we have the p-value. Okay, and the decision which will be we fail to reject because the p-value is greater than the level of significance. If the population standard deviation is known, in this case, if you click any values, for example, the t-test will be changed from the t to the z-test. Okay, for example, if you click 5, okay, and click evaluate, you can see we have z-test now. It's not t-test anymore. Okay, with the population standard deviation known. Okay, and also you can use the summary and add the values you want and make evaluate, and you will get the decision. For the 2 means, okay, analysis, hypotheses. Okay, for 2 means, for 2 independent. Okay, we will use the data. We will compare the HDL with, just a moment, not with the gender, with BMI. And don't forget to check if the variance, if they are equal or not. Okay, we can check that by clicking this one and evaluate. Okay, now we can see we reject equal variance. Okay, that means the variance aren't equal. In this case, we will click on the unequal variance and evaluate. Okay, in this case, we have the b-value also. We have the the test statistics T, okay, because we didn't know the population standard deviation for both, for example. But if the standard population standard deviation is given, you can add the values and get the z-score. And we can make the decision based on the p-value or the test statistics. Okay, we can compare the test statistic with the critical value, or we can compare the p-value with the level of significance alpha. Okay, guys, this is for two independent. After that, we use the hypothesis test for more than three. Okay, and this case we will use the ANOVA. Okay, one-way ANOVA analysis of variance. Okay, we can use any value more than three variables. Okay, for example, we can use HDL, LDL, okay, and BMI and age, for example. And click evaluate. The level of significance, it will be 0.05. Okay, in this case we have F test. Okay, we have the critical value, we have the p-value. Okay, this is the ANOVA table, we call it. Okay, the degree freedom for treatment, the degree freedom for the error, and the total degree freedom, and so on and so forth. We are not talking about the how to interpret the output. We are just interested to see the output and make a decision based on the output. Okay, and don't forget, in this case, the H0, okay, the hypothesis test, it will be mu1 equal to mu2 equal to mu3, because we have determined three variables. Okay, and the alternative hypothesis or the claims, it will be at least one mean is different from other. Okay, don't forget this point. And based on the output, we can see if the question says what is the F test. Okay, the F test, it will be equal to 847.378476. Okay, and the p-value to be equal to 0.000. In this case, because the p-value is less than the level of significance alpha, the decision to be rejected H0, which means at least one mean is different from other. Okay, guys, واضح شباب? Okay. Also, we can click on the plot, see the plot. Okay, and we can see the critical value with the test statistic. We said, don't forget, guys, we said that all with the F test give you the area to the right. Okay, this is for the ANOVA. Okay, for the correlation, okay, R, and don't forget the correlation will be lies between -1 and 1. Okay, we have perfect if the correlation equal to 1, it will be perfect positive linear relationship, and if the R equal to -1, that means we have perfect negative linear relationship. Okay, and depends about the variables you have determined. Okay, we can determine the variable. To find the correlation, you will click on the analysis, and from the analysis we have the correlation and regression. If you click on the correlation and regression, you will have X variables and Y variables. Okay, we will leave the age, and we will see with BMI, for example, and click evaluate. Okay, after you click evaluate, we have R. This is the correlation. Okay, 0.07. In this case, almost equal to 0. Okay, but we are sure we have positive and weak linear relationship between age and BMI. Okay, guys, if you click a plot, the scatter plot, okay, we can see it's the relationship is very weak. Okay, when age is increased, okay, why the BMI it will be increased, but a little bit. Okay, that means we have linear and weak relationship. Okay guys, هذا للcorrelation. كذا يا شباب نكون يعني سوينا يعني شرح على الريفيو على اللي راح ان شاء الله نقول انه احتمال انه يعني يكون جزء كبير منه، فاتمنى انكم